Shalom, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online, of course, at KosherTorah.com. Have a interesting topic to discuss with you tonight, the 19th of March, 2020. As I'm sure you all know, we're right in the middle of the COVID-19 experience. I don't want to call it what I don't want to call it something actually panicky or negative. I don't want to say we're in a crisis or anything of the kind, because I'm not so sure this is exactly and really what's going on here tonight. Now, what I want to share with you tonight is going to take us into some domains, some realms of ideas, knowledge, and thought that some of you might not be cool with. You might be very uncomfortable with. But tonight I want to share with you elements of my own personal insights, revelations, meditations, and if you will, even visions. I know a lot of you like to stay in the nice, comfortable, rational school of things. And as you know, I do teach that a lot, but the focus here at our KosherTorah School has always been experiential, prophetic. And therefore, what we endeavor to do is, if you will, tap into the pulse of the reality around us. So before I actually just dive right in and share what I've been experiencing lately, let me lay down some groundwork here, so hopefully to put it into a context that I hope is going to make it more palatable for people to be able to understand. Now, for those of you who follow me at the KosherTorah School and read my works, and you've taken the courses, or you've seen some of the other videos that we have here on Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, and the like, you know I will often use the concept, the term, the reality of that which I call Mother Earth. Mother Earth is a concept very popular in generic spirituality today. The New Age world will refer to Mother Earth as Gaia and all this other stuff. And many people are mistakenly under the impression that such a concept and idea has no foundation in our Torah tradition. Well, nothing could be farther from the truth. So before I introduce to you terms and concepts and ideas, let's look at their source material. So you have to forgive me that I got to play rabbi, but for my peers who are very book focused, I got to do what I got to do in that respect. First of all, understand, let's go right into the laws of the foundations of Torah itself. That's the Hilchot Yesodei Torah, and I'm talking about Maimonides and his famous code. One of the courses that I have available on our KosherTorah School is the foundations, these laws that I teach from the prophetic Kabbalistic point of view. And something that is covered in those laws, in the third chapter therein, which is a section that most people today dismiss and don't want to talk about. Maimonides states very clearly and verbatim, all right, that planets, stars, are alive, sentient, conscious beings that are aware of themselves and obviously aware of God. Now that applies to all the planets, including our Earth. This is not a concept that is unique to Judaism. Maimonides, I don't even think, takes this actually exclusively from Judaic sources. I think it's more of a scientific understanding in his perspective. But in our Kabbalistic understanding, we understand this in a much deeper way. As you know, when we speak in Kabbalah about the levels of the revelation of God to us, a point that is made in the Kabbalah of the Ariel is that our entire reality, our construct of experience, is what the Bible calls the heavens and the earth. You know what it says. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, fine. That's not all that there is to reality, but that is all that there is to our reality. Okay? Very important to understand. Now, that which we call the heavens is called that higher dimensional reality. The earth is our physical world. Now, for those of you who follow me online, during this time of COVID-19, it's not a crisis. Maybe we should best call it a transformation. During this period, I'm teaching the sefirah daily because I think that trying to focus on an elevation of consciousness in the experiential range, not just to give you an academic course of knowledge like you would take at your local university, but something transformational, I think is important. And that's why I'm offering those daily lessons. But in those lessons, I talk about this higher, lower realities. All right, we refer to the 10 sefirot and the 22 letters. And these refer to an active, passive relationship of giving and receiving, male and female. And the language of Kabbalah and the language of the Ariel in these respects is very overtly sexual. In the original language of the Ariel, when it speaks of there being union amongst these energetic forms, the original word that they use is zivug. Zivug is the word for sex. And whenever we refer to one power penetrating the other power, we always refer to the metaphor of the yesod. The yesod is the genitalia. And we speak very bluntly about the genitalia of the male penetrating the genitalia of the female. It's a very overt sexual language. And you have to ask, well, why? I mean, aren't we more holier than that? Aren't we more, I'll use the correct word, prudish? And the answer obviously is God forbid. Song of Songs, anybody? Bible? Okay, the earth is alive. That which we call the heavens are alive. We live in a living universe of living energy. The whole message of Torah is one of yichud, unity. For those of you who are familiar with our Torah path, our halakha, you know that every single day, every Torah observant human being, male and female, we recite in bold words, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Yeah, you got to pronounce that dalet correctly. Another lesson for another time. Unity. Echad. Unity. Everything is part of a greater whole. The heavens, the earth. Higher energy, lower energy, giving energy, receiving energy. In our Kabbalah, we call it Za and Nok, Tiferet Malkhut, Ma or Ben. In the Orient, they referred to it as yin and yang. We're all familiar with these concepts, but let's now take them out of the conceptual and deal with it in the actual. When I teach my meditative courses and I instruct people in experience of the higher realms of consciousness, I advise them, if you are going to experience through visual techniques, which is very common, don't be surprised if these visual experiences have a very overt sexual connotation to them. It's normal. Song of Songs, Shira Shirim Eshel Shlomo, Yishakeni me nishikot pihu, right? Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. They're sweeter than wine. Its language is almost, X-rated. How could I say? Now, again, I'm emphasizing this point. Sexual, energetic, real. Rambam said, the earth is alive. She is our mother. The divine presence of God as it is manifest and materialized here, we call the Shekhina. That Shekhina, divine presence, permeates all of physical reality and is the conscious, sentient, living soul of this earth. And therefore, Mother Earth, Gaia, is the Shekhina. And a point I made in my sefirah class and other classes as well, go back to the days of good old King Solomon's temple, when the Kohen Gadol, the holy high priest, he would walk in once a year on Yom Kippur and he would see the Ark of the Covenant. He would see a blue orb of light, which is pulsating. And it actually was able to take the metallic forms of the Keruvim and transform them into living beings. And as the Kohen Gadol would gaze into this blue orb of light, he would see the face of the Shekhina gazing back at him, the face of God. And that face of the Shekhina in Malkhut, Havaya de Ben, the final Hey of Hashem, was a female face, not a male face. It was a female face that gazed back to the high priest, and he always knew it. This was one of the great secrets of our Torah. So, when you go back into biblical days, days of Joshua, when Hashem spoke and said, get rid of all the idolatries in the land. And it was focused on getting rid of things like what's called the Asherah trees and all these other kinds of forms, which were perversions of female expression, wherein which the archetypal female was denigrated, degraded to just be a physical sexual object, submissive to, subservient to the male in a degrading way. That is what the foundation of old idolatry was all about. And that is why Torah had such a fanatical expression to root it out. Understand that the nature of what this was all about, why God is called a jealous God, the male element of God is not jealous. It's the female element. The Shekhina is the Esh Ochla, the devouring fire. So when we express our connection to God and we elevate through the grades, needless to say, like we learn about going through the klipot, and I discussed this in the Tzadok class and the other classes. Again, if you want instruction in the meditation system, you got to take the courses. I can't, and like the old teaching in the Gemara, teach you everything you need to know in the time I could stand on one leg. You can't learn this in 5 minutes. You need to take courses. You need to learn and practice. Get it? When I say to you the COVID-19 virus is alive, it is sentient and it's conscious. Is this a controversial thought for you to entertain? Can you think that or recognize that all those little itsy bitsy viruses that are passing around in all the bloodstreams of all the people has a collective conscious of its own, just like that of Mother Earth? And through prophetic techniques, you can, as you speak to Mother Earth, the Shekhina, and the Shekhina speaks to you. Is that a foreign concept to any of you? You know, it was one of the greatest minds in the Judaic tradition who spoke to Mother Earth and had Mother Earth speak right back to him. Dramatic pause for you to think for a second there. Have you, or are you familiar with one of the greatest rabbis in Judaic history, Rabbi Yosef Karo? I'm sure you've heard of his famous halachic work called the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, the code which defines for us today Torah Judaism. He was a prophetic meditator. He channeled the voice of the female Shekhina, which spoke out of his own mouth and words in prophetic fashion. Oh, how do I know this? The book is readily available. Magid Misharim. It's available in its original Aramaic, its original Hebrew, and it's available in English today. What do you know? So the techniques of which I share with you now are as grounded in our Torah Jewish tradition as is reciting the Shema, observing the Shabbat, and keeping kosher. This is why I emphasize these things to you, so that you don't think this is, wow, out of this world or fringe weirdo-ness. No, it's not. It's pretty much grounded, basic reality. And that's what you need to understand. With this in mind, we are going through now a transformational period in human history. You can't deny it. Things are going on now. When did this happen before? World War II? That was a big deal. When was the last time we had entire countries in lockdown? I mean, I speak to family and friends in Europe, in France. I speak to family and friends in Israel. These places are in lockdown. Places today, restaurants, entertainment, places of gathering, they're all closed. Even during like blitzkriegs in World War II wasn't this intense. And yet it is now. And yet you have to ask, what is going on? The COVID-19 virus has shown itself, at least at this time, not to be the bubonic plague. It is not a zombie apocalypse. It's not the end of the world. More people will die from the flu and probably the common cold and car accidents and heart disease and normal stuff that are ever going to die from this virus. Why are we literally turning the world upside down? Obviously, there's a reason for it. Now, we can get all kinds of conspiratorial and go woo and ah and look for boogeymen under every corner. I, like everyone else, love a good story. I love a good joke. And I've thought of some very funny ones. I thought were funny at least. But I'm afraid to share these types of, jokes for fear that people might take them seriously. And I'll give you an example. Not too long ago, Purim was here. And I made what's called a traditional Purim joke, a Purim spiel. And I made a comment here right on Facebook. And I said, breaking news, Mashiach has coronavirus and is barred from entering Israel. The redemption is postponed indefinitely. And, this is meant to be funny. Oh, you should have seen people's anger reactions. People were really offended. And they took it so seriously. And I said, what is wrong with you? Just lighten up. It's Purim. You're supposed to have enjoyment. If I can't joke about that without it being a stumbling block before the blind, I can't make jokes about everything else. I like to kid around. I'm a good old native New Yorker. All right, haven't forgotten that old accent yet from good old Long Island. And this is the way we were. Okay, this is the way we are. But in our public forum now, we have to take things more seriously. Now, where are we today? Look around. You know that. You could look at Fox News, or if you prefer CNN, or this one, or that one, right? This virus is spreading, boom, 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 and dramatic pause. No one's turning into zombies. We don't have millions of deaths. Dead bodies aren't racking up all over the place. And yet we're taking such phenomenal changes that we have this, not crisis, but transformation. What's going on? Well, who can I ask if I want to knock on the door of the Illuminati? And, they don't really exist. Please, again, this is me joking around here again, so please lighten up. There is no Illuminati, okay? Again, no Illuminati, but I'm just saying that as a joke, okay? If I wanted to ask the men in black or the aliens or anyone else, what's going on? What's the secret conspiracy going on here? And they're going to say, oh, no, shut up with that stupid stuff. There is no place, source like that. Some will say, well, this is all some type of a manipulation to control the society, the economy, the future American election, whatever. I'm more concerned with my mother, and I mean Mother Nature. What does the Shekhina have to say? And I will talk to her like I talk to my Heavenly Father, and I say, Abba. I refer to the Shekhina as Ima. Ima, Havayat the Bien, Havayat the Sag, whichever you refer to it in our Kabbalah speak. And we have our techniques. Again, we teach this in the meditation course. I have the long sefirah course of 40 hours. It's a big, big, long course. If any of you are interested in that, email me. I'll make you a special deal to provide that course. It's not even available. You won't find it on the website. I'm not offering it publicly. It's only for those who find it and want it. I'll make a deal with you on it. Okay? And my other meditation courses, Shadi Kiddushah and the rest, go check them out if you're interested. But now, you're going to practice the visual meditative technique, Abulafia style. You will visualize the Shekhina, Mother Earth, just like Yosef Karo did. And in that telepathic visualization projection, you will engage in dialogue. Now, many of you say, well, that sounds kind of weird and not Jewish. Yes, it is Jewish, please. Okay? And it is psychological. In our Jungian training, I'm Jungian trained here, we call it active imagination. Abulafia predated Jung on that by 800 years, but that's another story. This becomes something real. And in the techniques, we communicate. Personally, I've been practicing this stuff probably close to 40 years. Yeah, I'm an old man. Look at that. I said, I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, I'm doing this for a long time. So I've kind of learned my way around how to do this. That's why I write the books and teach this stuff, so that I can share and bring everybody along for the ride. Because that's what it's really all about. This is Ma'aseh Merkavah in practice. Okay. These are my insights, my revelations. Because I'm looking around at what's going on. And I'm not worried about economic collapse. I'm not worried about the Illuminati or the aliens or any of this other nonsense. I turn to my mother and I say, Ima, Mayish, what's going on? And like Rabbi Yosef Karo, Alav Shalom, before me, I know the same techniques as he practiced, as Yosef Tzayach practiced, as for that matter, Nostradamus practiced, because they all learned in the same circles there. Another story for another time. And this is what I saw. This is what I felt. Again, take it or leave it however you want, but I will share with you my insights, my visions. In the early morning hours is when I do this. The Rabbanit, God bless her, goes to sleep. Little Sierra goes to sleep. And I'm in here in my dark little office. I perform my techniques just like I've done literally for decades. And I'll go off into my weirdo kind of half awake, half asleep trance. And I see things. No, I don't take drugs. I don't drink alcohol or anything of the kind. I'm just trained in these things. Just like it was with Daniel and the like. And the first thing I experienced was almost the experience of what we experienced when we performed the prayers called Tikkun Hatzot. Tikkun Leah, Tikkun Rachel. Female. Rectification of the feminine. And I felt the presence of my mother crying. And I felt this pain, this anger, this frustration. Almost like felt like crying. And I said, Mom, what's the matter? And she says, look at what these bastards, and that was the language that I heard in my mind. Look at what they are doing to me. And I said, Mom, show me. Help me. What can I do? And I saw all these images popping into my mind about the abuse of the feminine in our society today. I saw the pollution in our world, the neglect and disregard that we show to our earth, the vileness that we interact with the other species, animals, and the like, and how horribly we treat them without a shred of dignity or respect. You know, I will share with you this in this household, even if it's a littlest spider. I mean, the Rabbanit, very, very strict. If she ever sees a bug in the house, God forbid, she'd never kill it. She calls me or something, somehow, somewhere. We always take it, put it outside. We don't have the right to take life, unless, God forbid, it's a danger. I'll share with you just a little funny story on the side here. You know, on Facebook, you have all kinds of funny videos and the like. And I saw that recently, this one video about this big alligator that somebody had as a pet. I said to Rabbanit, I want one. And you should know that Rabbanit, God bless her, she's as crazy as I am. We're two of a pair. She says, yeah, it's a great idea. I don't think we're going to be getting an alligator as a pet anytime soon, but we respect the concept, the love of nature. Again, when we were down in Florida this last fall, the honor to conduct a wedding with some dear friends, and she saw the iguanas like running around. Oh, she was at seventh heaven. She just loved it. This is the beauty of nature that I share with you. When we live out here in the Smoky Mountains and we have the wonder of the park, the beauty of nature, that's one thing. Who doesn't appreciate this? But the wonders of nature are not just there. It's everything. And today, in our technological terrors, we have divorced ourselves from Mother Nature. We have distanced ourselves from our source. And our mother is in pain because we, as her children, are messing up the apple cart. We're disrupting the energy flow. And it reflects in every element of our society. Look at the ways. So you can see Sierra in the background. Is she there? Yeah, okay. She's back there hanging out on the couch. Yeah. She's my little girl. All right. We had her since she was 6 weeks old. And you should know she's so attached to me. It's amazing. She normally sleeps down by my feet. That's how attached she is to me. She is a royal pain in the you-know-what. But she's my daughter. What can I say? That's what we do. But she's a darling. And I've always said to people, some people say, why do you have a dog? Or why do you even reference? And I said, you know, there is no such thing as a distraction. Distractions are just movement and energy. Energy never goes in a straight line. Energy is always floating and fluctuating. And if Sierra is part of our class, then she is. So what? Deal with it. That's called life, Mother Earth. I feel that. And I commune with her in that respect. Somebody's asking me here, are dogs allowed in a Jewish home? But of course they are. And I think it's a great and good thing that everybody should have a dog. And someone's going to respond and say, but they're not kosher. You're right. So you know what? I promise you, I will not eat my dog. So, okay, what can I say? I know people have pet pigs, and they're actually very nice too. And I don't eat my pet pig. I don't have a pet pig. I wouldn't eat my dog. I'm not going to eat an alligator. I'm not going to eat anything unkosher. And yet, I welcome them because they're all part of the greater creation that God has made. And I welcome that. Our mother is in pain because of us. And look how we treat our mother. Look how we treat women in our society today. You'll forgive if you don't like my language, but I'm going to use it to drive home a point. Even in our religious worlds, we treat women like whores. We have such a disregard, such a disrespect towards women, that Mother Earth herself is violated. Somebody's asking here again, if I touch my dog, what is it according to Kabbalah? I don't know. What is it according to anything? I touch my dog all the time. Are my hands unclean? Well, you know what? If I go into the holy temple, once it's rebuilt, I will wash my hands after touching my dog. As of today, I'm not too worried about it, because the whole concept of what we call tahara and tuma, holy and unholy, pure and impure, it's all based on the temple. We don't have a temple today. I'm not too worried about it. Okay? So for those of you who want to think in those phantasaical terms, ground yourself in halakha, please. Don't go off into fantasy. You really want to know the difference? Learn to experience Mother Nature. Your mother, the Shekhina, will guide and instruct you what is and isn't kosher in our world today. We don't need a Beit HaMikdash today. We don't need animal sacrifices anymore. Read your Rambam, Mora Nebuchim, Helek Shlishi. He got it. He understood. It's an elevation of consciousness. So what is happening now is a message, a statement. Look at the power of our mother. She, our Mother Earth, could easily cause earthquakes, tidal waves. She could have the entire caldera of Yellowstone, like a pimple being popped, explode, with the deaths of tens, hundreds of millions of people around the world. All kinds of fundamentally great disasters could happen, wiping out life beyond which we could possibly understand today. And we don't need any of that now, do we? A little itsy bitsy virus. That's all it took. And it was created by the Chinese in their laboratory. Or not. Who cares? It doesn't matter. All you need to understand is that it's alive. And if you really want to understand the COVID-19, then you perform the prophetic meditative techniques and recognize that just like it says in the Midrash, that to every blade of grass, there's a Malakh over it, guiding it, causing it to grow. The COVID-19 has its own Malakh, which is guiding its direction. And if you want to understand the COVID-19, speak to its Malakh. How about that? And ask that Malakh, what's going on? What's this all about? How many of you might remember H.G. Wells' famous story, War of the Worlds? All right, it's been made into movies and television shows. Back in the 1930s, it was the source of a play by Orson Welles on national radio at the time. And it led to such panic and fear that people believed, hearing on the radio a story, that we're actually being invaded. That years later, when actual extraterrestrial contact was being made by our governments, and yeah, that stuff is real, they, looking back at that radio program, realized, people aren't ready to hear this stuff yet. But let me tell you something about ET. All those ETs out there, they understand the nature of the greater energy of this universe. They're not traveling with flying saucers made of nuclear energy. They understand it. A lot of this energetic stuff. Many of them are coming from different places, different whatever. We'll have to get into that. Read my book, Aliens, Angels, and Demons. Talk all about this stuff there. But they understand the living force. And they tried to teach powers that be what's there. Some know and some don't. But for us today, Mother Nature decided to just give us a little patch on the tuchas, as we say, to wake us up and to make us remember the important things in life. What are those important things? Everybody today goes and eats in restaurants. I have friends of mine in New York who are in real estate, who say that in the modern apartments today, they don't even bother putting in kitchens because everybody orders out. How unnatural is that? In my day, I had the honor of actually knowing and being with some of the great and holy Mikubalim of the last century. I personally knew Baba Sali Rab Abu Chatzira. I personally knew and studied with Rab Mordechai Sharabi, the head of Yerushalayim. I knew Rav Kaduri and sat and learned with him as well. And they had one interesting thing in common. They never ate in restaurants at all. They were very careful about the energy of the food that they eat. Now, I eat in restaurants. I admit that, right? I have a big yetzer, the Rabbanit will tell you, pointing her finger at me. I love pizza. All right? Who doesn't? I find a good connoisseur of pizza. I love it. But the Rabbanit, she eats a lot more healthy than I do. And she's right. I've always told her that. Very important. How we eat is important. And today, the entire entertainment industry is being closed down, and we're being forced to reconnect as human beings with one another. Well, what do you know? I've seen some of these maps online in which because certain elements and aspects of modern technological industry are closing down, that elements and aspects of pollution are like clearing up. Well, what do you know? How cool is that? You see, this COVID-19 is just like a little, as we say, a patch on the tuchus. It's a Yiddish way, a little spanking, a little message from our mother to tell us, stop the nonsense, my children. Show respect again. And again, take a look at the way, ladies, you know exactly what I'm about to say is true. Look at the way women are treated in our society today. Again, we emphasize and focus on only physicality. There is something in the ultra-Orthodox world called a shidduch crisis. People, in those circles, they date, for the sake of marriage. They don't really get to know one another. They're only focused on the externals. And the guys are only looking for a model, gorgeous woman. And the women have to starve themselves and look certain ways and act certain ways so as to be, if you will, merchandising, properly expressing themselves in shidduch. I think that's horrible. Horrible. In all due respect, ladies, you should never allow yourselves to be subject to that kind of abuse. Our mother does not appreciate this. Women, ladies, a woman's beauty is far more than in the shape of her physical figure. Eshet chayil miyimtza, all right? The woman of valor, Proverbs 31. Read this, what a true, righteous, and holy woman is. But look how our society presents femininity. Look at the entertainment industry. I don't pay that much attention, but I'm aware of these things. And we present femininity today in the most despicable of manners. And we disgrace sexuality and degrade women back to the way it was in the days of ancient idolatry. And that is the focus of evil. Men and women are different biologically, psychologically. There's no difference. No argument about that. And personally, I have no objection to feminism as it is applied for the best of the elevation of the Shekhina. But I'm not so sure that's the way it's expressing itself today. A comment is being made here in text. Feminism emasculates men. I tend to agree. Much of feminism today is an angry and bitter attack on men and masculinity. But that's not what real feminism is supposed to be. Real feminism is the elevation of the Shekhina, No, God forbid, not to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Oh, that disgraceful, disgusting expression contradicts what our Torah teaches. Go look at the roles of the matriarchs in our Torah tradition. The roles of Sarah and Rebecca, Rachel, Leah. Look at the roles of Miriam, Devorah, leaders in their own right by power, righteousness. Do you think that Miriam, the sister of Moses, walked around with dyed hair and like little mini skirt and spiked heels? Why? No, nor would she. Spiked heels, desert, doesn't really go together. But I am sure that she was most likely a very attractive woman. I don't know, I didn't see her, but we learn from biblical example about Sarah, the wife of Abraham. Obviously, she couldn't have been wearing a burqa because if you remember, Abraham's concern with regards to Sarah was she was so beautiful. He was concerned that people of less moral caliber would desire her and kill him to get her for a wife. Well, how are they knowing how beautiful she is if she's covered head to toe in a burqa? So obviously she wasn't. Obviously she was probably really hot by any standard of definition of beauty that, Abraham as this powerful man would be so concerned. Sarah certainly most likely didn't have any problem with her appearance. She didn't try to make herself look ugly. These things are lessons for us today. But she had dignity, she had self-respect, she had power and assuredness. That's good femininity. When we want to heal the Shekhina, at Tikkun Atzot, if we pray Tikkun Leah, Tikkun Rahel, we must recognize that it's not enough we just read prayers, recite psalms. We have to take this into a transformational experience and make a difference. Sexuality has to be re-sanctified. No, we are not prudish at all. That is a very non-Jewish concept. You see, just to digress for a minute to explain this. In the Greek philosophical world, they made a division between the intellectual and the physical. In their minds, the intellectual was spiritual, all good, all right, all blessed. And the physical was the opposite, all bad, all wrong, all disgusting. And they said, anything physical we're going to separate ourselves from. We're going to live a stoic lifestyle. We're going to separate from all the niceties of life and live just humble and simple. Abraham certainly didn't live like that, nor did Isaac, nor did Jacob, nor did Moses, nor did David, nor did Solomon, nor did Daniel, it's not a Jewish way. We have yichud, unity. The physical, the spiritual are two parts of the same whole. Male and female belong together. So therefore, we do not separate from the joys and blessedness of physicality. So when it comes to issues of human sexuality, like in Song of Songs, a proper married couple should be as exotic and as erotic as they so choose to be. Because that is the proper way of the expression, balance, and flow of harmonic energies, male and female. That's a Torah teaching. That is the foundation of natural, normal energy flow. So, I'm a big one as the Torah is on having balance in partners. I have an old saying, better peace from afar than war up close. Meaning that in marriage, I do marriage counseling. I've been doing this 30 plus years. I try to help people, get along. And sometimes, like in the words of the old rock and roll song, if you can't be with the one you love, then love the one you're with. Love is a verb. Love is action. Love is respect. Me and the Rabbanit, we're very different in many different ways. And if we're going to disagree on things, we have some big disagreements. But that bond is what's real, that unites. And that is something that we must recognize as a reflection of the bond of Tiferet and Malkhut, Za and Anok, Ma and Ben, thrown in from the Orient, the yin and the yang, all the same. Our mother today pines, cries out at the war between the sexes. The anger and the bitterness that has come from all of this, in quote, sexual revolution, this sexual promiscuity. Back in the day, it was said, women, be free and follow your sexual desires as you want. Emancipate yourselves. Look at what such emancipation has gotten women today. All right? Slavery, all kinds of bad stuff. No, again, enjoy yourself, but within the proper context, but don't sell yourself out. Look at how we treat our planet. Look how we treat nature. Look how we treat women. It's all one and the same. There is a serious imbalance, a serious disturbance in the force. And we're responsible. This virus has now come and indeed is curious because an illness is actually having a positive side in bringing certain elements of healing to our circumstances. Now, many of us are going to be affected financially. We, here at our KosherTorah school, get along with the donations of our supporters. If our supporters are out of work or their finances are affected, so is ours. I understand that. And I've always said to our supporters, I put this out in our emails to our school, I will never turn away anyone for lack of funds. All right? I trust in God. I trust in the universe to provide. I do my share. Heaven does its share. Somehow, some way, it all works out in the end. So understand now what the message is. When I gazed out, I saw an angry mother, a bitter mother, who showed me all kinds of the disruptions and harm and pain shown and expressed and felt by women today. Women in the spiritual plane, women female at the spiritual energetic field, and women here on earth. And I saw it. I felt it. I experienced it. And that is when I saw this virus. Right? I don't know where it came from, but I know it's there for a reason. And it is here to, like the word in Yiddish is a patch, just like a little spank, to awaken us. And look at what's happening. Our entire world is responding. A year ago, what virus did we have a year ago? The H1N1 or whatever else was out there. And before this, there was the SARS. We had all these viruses. Tens of thousands of people died from them. Where was all the disruption in the world? Not there. And the danger there was much more serious than now. So why do we have this disruption? Somehow, some way, remember the watchers in the book of Daniel. They're the ones who are out there that have the ability to psychically influence the minds of our leaders. Just like it was with Nebuchadnezzar. So exactly it is with the minds of Mr. Trump or Mr. Netanyahu in Israel, Monsieur Macron in France, right? Or the leaders of China or Italy or anywhere else. Somehow, some way, our leaders are under the same influence of the watchers as the ancients were as well. And just like the watchers, through the Shekhina, through God, would send dreams into the minds of Pharaoh and Nebuchadnezzar, our leaders today are equally being influenced. They might not even be aware that it's happening, but it is happening. And they sense and feel something deep. And their advisors are saying to them things, and things are happening, and they are therefore influencing, and therefore making decisions. and things are happening. Change, fundamental global change. Do you realize? Look around what we've done. We have changed the fabric of the world, of society, of the economy, of culture itself in a matter of days. Many of you who were in New York City on 9/11 know that once those attacks happened, the entire city of New York was literally closed down in a matter of minutes. They literally blocked off the roads. People could not get in or out. Like that, they were able to respond. And here we are again, responding globally. Now, a point that I made in my previous class about magic and medicine. Don't think that you could turn to words of Torah or amulets and hold it up and say, I command you, O virus, stay away. Remember, we live in Malkhut. We live in the physical world. This physical world is ordained by the higher hand of heaven and flows with its own energetic flow. The energetic flow of the male, the higher domain, is not the same as the energetic flow of the lower domain. It's, we use words like higher and lower, and that's actually rather judgmental. I've never really liked higher and lower because I don't think it is higher or lower. It's right and left, side by side, whatever, but they are equally valid and good and right. And those people, especially those who practice the magical traditions, you understand exactly what I am saying. And when we try to deal with energy, we have to be sensitive to and aware of what energies that we are using. Somebody's asking a question here in text. Can this virus be the work of Malakh? Malakh is the evil force of the devil that's out to get you. Okay, you know what? That's not what Malakh is. Malakh is made very clear by our sages, like it says in the Zohar, is a personality attribute of a certain type of person who seeks division, strife, and harm. So the virus is actually making people bring us together. Do you realize that the people today here in the United States, I saw this in the news, some of Mr. Trump's most outspoken opponents, like hate his guts, are actually thanking him and praising him for his work? Wow! I'm talking about bringing unity. Well, what do you know? Strange how Mother Nature works. She doesn't need to blow us up with volcanoes. She doesn't need to shake the world with earthquakes. So for those of you who are expecting apocalypse and the end of the world, the Messiah is coming now and he's going to punish all the bad guys. And who are those bad guys? Obviously, everybody disagrees with me. Right? If you disagree with me, you're a bad guy, and therefore you got to be punished. Isn't that moronic to think like that? I think so. Everybody's Messiah is everyone else's false Messiah. Haven't our Jewish history taught us that we've had enough false messiahs? I see all this nonsense on the internet. All right? This one's talking to the Messiah, and this one says Messiah is coming, and the war of Armageddon, Gog and Magog, it's going to happen, like next Thursday at 3 o'clock? Yeah, okay, all right. I've heard these things. How many of you remember Y2K? How many of you remember, the Mayan apocalypse 2012? Over and over and over again. We go through these entertainment cycles. And we fail to pay attention to the important things. Someone's asking, what is the source of the Yehud I did? How about taking my classes and learning these meditations? All right? Actually, the person who's asking that question at one time was a student of ours. Hey, learn. What can I say? Please, this is an important point for me personally and our school. All right, one of my major important teachings. I don't ever want you to accept my point of view. I don't ever say follow me. I'm not a leader. I'm just a normal everyday guy. All right. For those of you who know me personally, I try to be as normal as I hold normalcy to be the highest level of all. All right. Yeah, I'm a normal guy. I wear jeans. I ride a Harley. Yeah, I'm not the only rabbi who does. Okay, I got my old leather jacket from back from how it was in the 60s and all the rest of that stuff. I try to be normal. My point in telling you this is that I don't want you to follow me. I want you to learn to see with your own eyes. I sense and feel the pain of my mother. She showed me this. I asked to speak to the COVID-19 virus directly, and I experienced its Malakh. And I experienced as if a communication from its Malakh saying, I'm only here to shake things up. Not anymore, because that's what mother called me here to do. And the COVID was like an older sister. And it's upset, angry, frustrated. And it's there only to help us, teach us, give us a wake-up call. And I hope and pray that with the seriousness, the intensity of that which we are experiencing now, that we may pay attention. So, this is what I think we need to do, each one of us. Somebody says you want to practice the meditative techniques and all this stuff. Hey guys, if you want to practice this stuff, email me, arielsadok@gmail.com. Go to KosherTorah.com. Look at the courses we have on meditation. Shari Kiddusha. Okay? Sefer Yetzirah. You can take the courses in Masechet Atzilus. I got all this stuff. It's there for you like right now. All you got to do is do it. I can't do it for you. All I can do is share with you my own. And I beg you, please, don't follow me. Don't take my word for it. See for yourselves. But please, you have to make a difference. You have to take a difference in this world. Ladies, do not allow yourselves to be abused. Not just by men. It's nothing to do with men. Look at yourselves in the mirror and say you have dignity. You are an Eshet Chayil. Maybe you'll remember the old movie Network from way back when. All right, who was it? Peter Finch, I think, was the actor. He got up and says, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. That was the message I felt from the Malakh of the COVID-19 virus. Don't take it anymore, people. Let's make changes. Let's use this time of quarantine, isolation, not as a punishment, but as a transformation. This is an opportunity to make good, to heal the Shekhina. For those of you who are of the Kabbalah speaking level, and you wake up for your Tikkun Atzot, and you're saying Tikkun Leah and Tikkun Rahel, and you want to elevate the Shekhina, stop thinking of this as intellectual concepts and do it for real. Experience nature. Get the blank out of your cities. Live a normal, natural life. Come back down to earth, Mother Earth. Embrace the Shekhina. And recognize that this is the highest level of Torah Judaic practice. It's for everybody. This is Judaism for Gentiles, Judaism for Jews. This is universal Torah for us all. So the message was, our mother is calling out, saying, children, please heal me. Please heal one another. I'm giving you a little patch on the tuchus to wake you up. Please, don't make me have to spank you harder. Please wake up. That's the message of the COVID-19. I hope and pray that I'm speaking not only to your minds, but to your hearts. And that somehow, some way, you might hear in my words a resonance within you that recognizes these truths. If so, do it. Do what? Talk to your mother, our mother. Let her guide you. Pray to Heavenly Father and experience the Shekhina, our earthly mother, and know the truth and experience it. Act on it, implement it, and bring healing to our world. Be kind to animals. Be embracing of nature. All right, I'm going to embarrass the Rabbanit now. At least I hope I'm not. A while back, we were out in Joshua Tree out in California, and we had this lovely hike out there. And I have this one beautiful picture of her in awe of the moment. It was one of the most beautiful, she's in meditation, and I took a picture of her. It was one of the most beautiful pictures I have of her. No, she wasn't wearing fancy makeup. She was like dressed for, being in the desert. But the wonder, the beauty of the peace and the serenity that radiates from her in a photo, that's the tikkun of the Shekhina. That's what I pray we all can experience. Take this to heart to experience. God bless us all. Be safe. Wash your hands. Do what's necessary. Live by the laws of our earth. Do what we need to do. Change. Transform. Experience. And know. Ariel Bar Tzadok here. We'll have our daily sefirah classes, God be willing, continuing. I'll see you all in our next class. Thank you for joining me all. Shalom.